This is a very quick sewing tutorial for beginners, intermediate, even advanced. It will take you 2 to 3 hours to put together, and you have so much fun whipping up a garment that you can actually wear in the same day. The pattern is part of my collection, which I will leave the link down below. Go and check it out. And this is something that you can also offer clients and actually generate an extra income. My name is TANIA Sutherland, and I'm a fashion designer and a content creator all around sewing enhancement courses, sewing tutorials, as well as starting up your own business. Weekly basis will be a combination of sewing tutorials, anything about the sewing and styling of the patterns, as well as starting up your own business. For your trouser, you're going to need to cut 2 panels out. So you're placing it, this front line here, with the crutch where you created and you cut out. This will be the fold line. So this will be the one trouser, which is the front trouser. And then you're going to need 2 belts for the front. You shall put the belt on the side. There's a selvage edge. Here is the fold edge. So you'll cut the first panel out. You leave this on the fold. You don't cut it open. And then you will do one more, which will be the back panel, which you'll also lay on the fold exactly the same as the front. This is the wrap pants. I've already laid it onto the fabric. I have now doubled up because I'm going to cut 2 times the trousers on fold. So I've doubled it up. It is 150 wide, the fabric. This is your fold against the table. There were the measurements that we used. Alright, so I'm going to cut 2 at the same time. So I'm going to have a front and a back, as well as I'm going to cut the waistband. If you like this kind of content that I'm sharing with you, how about giving me some love and help the algorithms grow? I'd really appreciate it by pressing the like button, and share, as well as the subscribe button down below. And please leave some comments below. I'd love to come back to you. Waistbands as well. So I'm just using my weights, and I'll put extra pins in, and I'm going to cut this. This must not be cut open. This must stay on the fold on the inside leg. Just the crotch area needs to be cut open along the fold line. This is a French seam stitch. As you can see, this is a suede, which is the right side, and that is the wrong side of the fabric. So you stitch the 2 right sides of the fabric is on the top and the bottom as you're pinning it to stitch. So in other words, the wrong side of the fabric is on the inside. So the wrong side of the fabric is kissing. So you stitch all the way down your seam, the 2 right sides visible. You're going to have this effect. Now you folded it after you've stitched it, you've pressed it, and then you're going to stitch it down again. And if you flip it open, as you can see, this is the right side of the fabric. And that's what it will look like on the outside, and this is what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so I've cut the 2 pants out, the front and the back. They're both on the fold. Now what you're going to do is a French seam. So you're going to open up the trousers on the fold. You're going to open them up. Now this material, there is no right and wrong side. It is exactly the same on both sides. So for a French seam, is you first got to work out what is your normal seam allowance. Okay, so the seam allowance on this wrap trouser is 1.5 centimeter wide, which is, if you look at the tape measure, there's 1 centimeter, and half of the next centimeter gives you 1.5 centimeter seam allowance. That is the seam allowance on the seams of the crotch. So there is no right or wrong side. Both sides are the same. So you're going to pin all the way along the crotch, from the waistline all the way around, right up to the other side the opposite side of the waistband, of the waistline. Then you're going to stitch with the two right sides facing, and we are going to stitch a 1/2 centimeter all the way around the crotch line. And once we do that, we're going to turn the fabric around and stitch again 1 centimeter, tucking that 1/2 centimeter into the seam, so there's no seams at all in this garment, because this garment has got no overlocking, there's no seams showing through. It's a roll hem and a French seam. Here we can see the other print wrap pants that I made. I basically had closed the inside crutches, the front and the back. I've rolled over the actual waistband allowance, which was the 1 centimeter fold back seam, which I pressed down first, and that's a 3 centimeter fold from the waist. And then of course on the side of the legs is basically the roll hem. This is an extra service you could offer for your clients. You could even make them and sell them. You can make them for beach wear. You can make it in lace. You can make it for evening wear. You can do it in denim for day wear. You can make it you can turn it into satin and wear it for an evening function, for a cocktail evening. You can have so much fun exploring the different avenues of the different types of fabrics you can use to curate it for different types of events, and just make extra income, enjoying what you do, and just seeing your bank balance grow. The 1/2 centimeter. Now, if this did have a right side and a wrong side, it would be, the two right sides would be on the outside of the garment. The two wrong sides would be kissing. When you get to the curve of the crotch, you just gently open up the curve so it's almost a straight line. Make sure that you've got no garments tucking underneath or accumulating underneath, creating tucks or folds. Alright, so there is my 1/2 centimeter seam. So now what you do is you are going to fold that over along the crotch line. You're first going to take it to the iron and go and press it. So you're going to press the seam completely open, because the next thing you need to do now is to keep this exactly on that seam on the fold. And then you are going to stitch 1 centimeter down all the way around, and then this will be the right side of your fabric. So you see you're actually sandwiching and closing off that seam on the inside. There is the crotch seam. Okay, so the one is a front, it's a right, well it's a front, and that is the back. Okay, so that goes between the crotch. With your waistbands, what you're going to do, you have 4 of them. So there's 4 in total, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. You're going to fold the waistband in half and give it a press to make the belt a little bit more crisp and a little bit firmer than just doing it with a normal fabric, depending on what you want. If you want it a bit firmer, you use a violin. You have different types of thicknesses. So what I've done is I've just cut half of the fold of the actual belts. I don't want it to make it that stiff. So what you do is you just cut half, you just can cut a 4 centimeter strip and do this with all 4 of your belts. When you come to pressing your waistband area, so it was 1 centimeter seam allowance plus a 3 centimeter fold over seam. That was your pattern instructions. So here is paper which is a slightly harder paper than usual, almost the same sort of thickness as business cards. So I'm laying it on the waistline, and I'm going to fold over 1 centimeter, and I'm going to press on it all the way along the waistline. Right across the waistline. So what you will have is you've got your pressed line already, so when you want to do your hem, your fold line is already there in your actual waistline. Your belts. Okay, so now we folded it in half and we put interfacing on the one side. So what you'll do is on the one side of the belt, you're going to stitch that closed 1 centimeter. You're going to leave this side open. You're going to stitch this side 1 centimeter the end, and then you're going to stitch 1 centimeter seam allowance at the bottom of the belt all the way to the opposite end, and then pull it through either with a safety pin or a knitting needle. Alright, so now I'm going to pivot the needle. So I've come to about 1 centimeter towards the end of the band. I'm leaving my needle in. I'm lifting my sewing foot up. I'm keeping the needle in and I'm pivoting the fabric around, and I will continue sewing my 1 centimeter seam along the edge. Alright, so what I normally do is I take a knitting needle and I just open up the little band to get the two sides separated. I try and sort of pinch it on the inside to create like a little pocket pushing in, like a little tunnel, and then I just sort of maneuver until I can get the needle through, and I'll just keep pushing it. Alright, so there it is. You just need to wiggle and get this point through. You can either use the unpicker just to pull the corner through gently without piercing the fabric. Go back to your waistline, because that is the correct side. This is the inside. So now you've already pressed over 1 centimeter and the 3 centimeter over. Okay, so before you can put the belt in, because the belt will go inside here, you need to finish off the edges of the opening of the trouser. So what you will do is you will take 1.5 centimeter down the side, and then another 1.5 centimeter, and then stitch it down all the way as closest to the edge as possible. Now you can go and press this as well. Alright, so this is the side openings of the trouser, which is the 1.5 centimeter underneath and 1.5 centimeter roll over fold along the sides. Alright, just to double check your hem, take your red trouser and fold where the waistline fold is. Position it in your waist where you're going to be wearing it, and have a look at, what kind of heel you're going to be wearing. It'll be a high heel or flats. Determine what length that you would need them. I probably wear more flats, so I'm quite happy with the shoe that I've got on. And when I measured it now, it was a 2 centimeter hem plus a 2 centimeter roll back. So it's 4 centimeters in total. So it'll be a roll hem of 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters for the hemline. So now I'm just going to go ahead and press this, and then I'm going to stitch this down. Alright, so there's the trouser on the mannequin, because once you see me sewing it on the machine, it just looks like straight panels, just stitching all the time, doing lots of roll hems. But once it's on the actual body, it starts to make more sense of what's happening. Alright, so these are the back sections with the belts on, and this is the front section with the belt. So that gets tied to the back, so it wraps over. You can see there's one leg and there's the other leg. So you take that to the back, you tie it, and you bring this one also forward, okay, and then you can tie them in the front. So where we pressed, I've just folded it down and I've put some pins in just to give it a more of a secure line while I'm sewing it down. Alright, so I'm pinning it down where we had ironed the 1 centimeter and then folded it over the 3 centimeter. So here is your belt, here is the fold, and there is the stitching line. So I'm going to slot it into the fold. I'm going to put it in about, say, 2 centimeters. I'm going to fold that 1 centimeter seam over. I'm going to place this down with the pins. Right, so the whole idea now is to stitch along the stitching line. We did the roll hem, so you'll stitch all the way up there, and then right against the edge of that fold. And then you're going to come all the way along as close as possible to the fold line, the other side of the waistline. Okay, so you're going to take your belt, you're just going to slot it in about, say, 2 centimeters with the fold it over. Okay, so I'm going to first just stitch along the roll hem's sides of the trouser. It's quite bulky, so just go slow. Okay, so I've stitched it on the previous line. I'm now going to stitch it onto the edge of the fold. out this is quite a bulky seam, so just go over it carefully. My name is Tania Sutherland, and thank you so much for watching my video. It's all about enhancing your skills for your sewing and also turn your sewing and designing into a business.